On the surface, Dave the Diver seems like a game with a simple premise. Dive into the ocean, get fish, and build your sushi empire. But this quirky gem of a game throws a surprising amount of content and mix of genres into one single captivating experience. During the day, you explore the vibrant ocean, hunt fish, and find hidden treasures. But at night, you transform into a restaurateur where you craft delicious sushi recipes for your cast of quirky customers. But what secrets and dangers are there the deeper you go? And is Dave the Diver worth your time? But before we go any further, welcome to Stay Tuned on Gaming. I'm your host Damon, where I get to talk about video games for as long as I want. And today I look at this quirky gem of a game developed by Mintrocket, Dave the Diver. And of course, if you like this type of video, please comment down below, share it, and like the video. All those good stuff. Let's get into the game. So, let's get into the story of Dave the Diver. You play as Dave, an ordinary diver who gets swept up in an extraordinary adventure. One day, his friend Cobra calls him for an intriguing business venture, opening a sushi restaurant near the legendary Blue Hole. The Blue Hole is a mythical location that contains a vast ecosystem of fish from all over the world. Dave is tasked with providing the sushi restaurant with fish by diving into the Blue Hole and hunting down the fish. Little does Dave know that this is about to be an extraordinary adventure that has uncovering the secret of the Blue Hole, coming across dangerous fish, and meeting a cast of colorful and memorable characters, all the while trying to grow the sushi restaurant. The story of Dave the Diver isn't a grand epic scale story, but a charming and engaging tale that I kind of fell in love with the further I went on to it. There were some twists and turns, some memorable characters, and some actual really surprising moments in the game. I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed this game. As when it comes to games that are like this, which is a simulation game, the story is just a vehicle to get you from one game mechanic to another. And while that is the case here, there's so much I love about the game, from its quirky characters to its humorous dialogue. There's a charm throughout this in-game, and if you stick with it, it can be a very fun experience. Now, it's nothing super detailed and super heavy, but I really do like it about Dave, who got swept up in this extraordinary adventure. It's a fun thing. Building the representation of the sushi restaurant is really fun, and uncovering the secrets of the Blue Hole are really great, and both of them play into each other really well done. The cast of characters include Cobra, your eccentric friend and entrepreneur who brings the sushi restaurant to life and always has a sense of comic relief and always finding a way to make more money. Pancho is the flamboyant, skilled chef who runs Pancho Sushi. He loves exotic ingredients and has a very interesting background. Dr. Bacon is an archaeologist who wants to find out the secrets of the Blue Hole, and there are many, many more. It's a fascinating tale, and one of the best I've seen in simulation games. There are twists and turns, good guys, bad guys. There are moments I wasn't sure what was gonna happen today, and there's some genuinely heartfelt moments with a fantastic end as well. I really liked a lot what this game had when it came to its story. While yes, it's nothing deep, and sometimes the pacing can feel like it drags because they need you to still play the game, what is here is really, really well done. And it's quite a really good time. If you're looking for something that's just a fun, charming tale, Dave the Diver is up there. When it comes to graphics, Dave the Diver boasts a charming art pixel style that leads into the whimsy of the game. I loved this type of style. Sometimes it can be hit or miss with me because it can be really difficult to really discern what you're looking at. After playing Blasphemous, a game that has the similar art style that this game has, I have to say I kinda like this game a lot more when it comes to this pixel art style. The underwater sections breathe a world of color and diverse marine life to life. You would think it'd be tough to look at, but this is some of the best pixel art I've ever seen. I love that you were able to see a lot of the detail, not just on the characters with their animations and their facial expressions, but even the fish themselves, each one different than the rest, each one very easily to be distinct. Well, the game also uses 3D environments in certain places just to help the art stick out a little more, make it pop a little more, and I really, really love that. Even the dishes themselves look fantastic, but what are really some of the best parts about the game is when you go into like the little cutscenes that they play whenever like you have to enhance like a weapon or build a weapon, or even when you have to do like the sushi restaurant stuff. That's some of the best cutscenes I've seen in pixel art. It's fantastic, and it just adds to this game's whimsy and glee. There's no voice acting to speak around, and just like grunts and stuff. So it makes sure that the game's graphics has to provide the weight of how characters feel, their expressions, and how they move. All of them fantastic, and each one acts differently than all the others. There's some real good stuff in here. I don't want to spoil a lot of the cutscenes because they're really great and really well done. The music though is also fantastic. I love the music in this game. I love the underwater section music of the game. I love the bunch of sushi like music that is there. Hot Pepper Tuna is one of my favorite tracks in the game, and I especially love some of the main themes and underwater sections. It's all fantastic. Overall, this is a fantastic package of Dave the Diver. A fantastic story, while not amazing on grand scale, but charming and unique and fun to play, boasting some beautiful graphics, and while there's no voice acting, the music is fantastic. A great soundtrack to listen to when you're not even playing the game. Fantastic package overall. So let's get into the gameplay of Dave the Diver. At its core, Dave the Diver is a sim management game. And during the day, you will jump to the blue hole, hunt for fish, and then at night, you'll take that fish, turn them into sushi, and sell it to your quirky customers, all the while building your restaurant empire. But there's a lot more under the surface when it comes to this game. I'm going to split it into two different parts, the underwater sections and then the restaurant section, as they both do work in tandem with one another, but it's just easier this way for me to explain it. Now, where you'll spend most of your time is underwater. You'll be hunting fish, finding a variety of different materials that you can use to upgrade guns, and finding more, going deeper and deeper as it becomes more dangerous and harder for you to find fish. Again, this is where you spend most of your time, and you do have a variety of things to bring with you. First, you have a melee weapon that you can bring with you. You can get 2 items and 2 weapons. Now, most of the time, it'll always be your harpoon gun that you'll always have with you, and then like an extra gun. And all the fishes in the game like act differently, behave differently. All of them do different stuff. Most of them will run away from you. Some will just not mind you whatsoever. And for the predators, they will always try to hunt you down. And fishes come in a variety of sizes. Small, medium size, big, some are fast, some are slow. It is crazy how much fish there is. I believe there's over 200 different kinds of fish species in the game. And like I said, each one has their own unique ability. Now you will have to survive underwater, and your oxygen will act as your health. It will deplete as you move around, and it can also deplete way faster if you take a hit. But what's good is that you can find oxygen canisters in the water that can help you get your oxygen back. Actually, you can find a whole variety of stuff besides just fish underwater as well, such as materials that you can use to craft guns. Guns themselves can be found. This is pretty important because you need a gun to hunt the predators, as that's one of the best ways and the quickest ways to kill a predator. You can find a variety of guns. If it's your first time picking up that gun, it'll be added as a blueprint. Pick it up enough and it'll finally unlock by giving you the ability to craft it. You can find ammo, because that's really the only way you can. You can also find new melee weapons as well as upgrades for your harpoon as well. It's important to note that all of these stuff stay with you, leave and get destroyed if you leave the water. So nothing is permanent except for like later on when you unlock a small type of stuff. But any upgrades you get for your harpoon gun and any melee weapons you find, they're not permanent. Even the guns are not permanent until you craft them and jump into the water with them. Now, hunting fish is easy and difficult at the same time. The smaller fish will be easy to hunt as they're, again, very small, but some of them may even take multiple attempts to do. Like you'll hit it once with your harpoon gun, damage it, doesn't damage it enough, do it again, sometimes 3 to 4 times that you'll have to do. The predators, on the other hand, you're going to use your gun. You're going to use your gun to kill them the fastest and the quickest because that is the easiest way to deal with them. But you also find that using your gun on smaller enemies, smaller fish, doesn't work really that well, as it actually devalues them. For example, if I kill the fish with my harpoon gun, I get 3 pieces of ingredients that I can use. But if I kill them with my gun, I only get 1. The thing is, you can stay underwater for a really long time. There's a lot of ways that you can get oxygen. There's a lot of ways that you can always be able to get items such as bombs and sentries and even oxygen canisters to last you for a very long time. But what will keep you from spending hours and hours underwater is your max weight. You see, everything you pick up has weight to it. Fishes will probably have the most weight, and getting the bigger predators will probably have even more weight. But if you exceed your max weight, you'd go much slower and your oxygen depletes much faster. So it always becomes a balancing act between making sure your oxygen is fine, but you also don't go over your weight. If you do go over your weight, you've got to drop stuff and they get discarded immediately so you can stay under. You are able to get out of the water not only by swimming to the surface, but also finding escape pods. These escape pods are hidden throughout the area, and so like various areas, so it's pretty important. The deeper you go, the area changes, as well as the fish changes as well. Yeah, the predators change as well, and sometimes certain predators only come out after certain events or certain days, like if it's raining or if there's a fog, or maybe if it's very hot, like warm. It changes, and it can have different animals coming out as well. So it's pretty important for you to figure out. You can go diving twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And it doesn't really change. Again, you jump into the blue lake, it always changes, but it doesn't really change what shows up where. Again, there'll be things that you can't do because you'll need to do story missions to unlock the ability to like pick up rocks, or even later on have the ability to hunt crabs. Again, the game does a good job of pacing what you can do. And what's great is that I never really felt bored going underwater, because again, no matter what fish you find, you're going to use it as an ingredient. You're always hunting, and there's a lot of fish everywhere around you. There's never a point where you're dying to find a fish. You might be dying to find like an oxygen canister when you're fighting a fish, because it can get pretty deadly, but there really isn't always, there's always fish around you. Now, once you finally did all your hunting, you get back and it's now nighttime. It is time to open a bunch of sushi. This is where the restaurant management side comes in. Now, once you enter Bunch of Sushi, which only opens at night, you will have to set the menu. Whatever you caught that day or whatever previous days or whatever, you can now open and make the menu. Basically, whatever you find. Now, you basically use what you have to either enhance the dish or to use it in a variety of other dishes. Now, enhancing the dish is pretty good because every dish has a rating, a level rating, how much they cost, and the taste of that rating, and of course, the ingredients that it uses. Now, you can enhance any dish as long as you have enough of that same fish. For example, if I caught 20 blue tangs, to enhance a dish, it'll cost me 3. So leveling it up to level 2, where it will cost more and actually have more taste. It's important to balance this out to know when to enhance the dish and when not. You'll then set your menu and then open up. It's important to figure out your menu pretty quickly because you don't sell everything, because Bunch of Sushi doesn't stay forever open, and whatever you don't sell gets discarded. So you don't want to put too much of the same fish on the menu, because if it doesn't sell, then you lose that fish as well. So if you put 20 blue tang and you only have 20 blue tang, and for the night you open up, and they only sell 5, the rest gets discarded. So it's important to balance that out. You can also research to get extra recipes and dishes as well. This allows you to use a variety of different other ingredients, but again, it also increases the quantity of it. So instead of 1, you get like 5 per menu item, which is actually pretty good. Opening the restaurant is pretty standard restaurant stuff. You run around taking the people's orders, making sure you pour them green tea, making sure the wasabi is cleaned up, and whenever there's a dish ready, you take it to them. It can get pretty crazy, but the game does do a good job of allowing you to hire staff. You can hire 2 cooks, which will make cooking go much faster, and you can hire 2 serving staff. You can also upgrade these staff as well. And again, upgrading them is actually pretty good. Like 1, if you upgrade them enough, will actually pour tea instead of you having to pour the tea as well. And others can get tips, and each one has different like skills like procurement, appeal, cooking, and you'll find which ones you'll need to basically help you when it comes to running the restaurant. And that's basically the main gameplay loop. Jump into the water, hunt fish, take it out at night, and then you basically can open the restaurant, and there you get money. But there's a variety of stuff that you can do as well. First of all, any money you make from the sushi restaurant, you'll have to use it to upgrade your diving gear. Basically upgrade your oxygen, your max weight, having the ability to upgrade your wetsuit so you can dive deeper. You can also use that to get weapons and guns, and even unlock further upgrades for your guns much later on. You will also unlock the farm much later in the game, a whole farming thing which adds more ingredients and more stuff for you to handle. You also unlock a fish farm later on, where now you don't even have to go into the water so much, because you'll have like a lot of fish in this fish farm, where you can even have them like lay eggs and get more fish that way. It's actually pretty fun, and it actually does a really good job. Where the game does work a lot is the many different gameplay elements and mechanics it throws in there. Now, these mostly happen at story mode missions, but what is there doesn't stay too long and just gives a nice little breakup of sometimes that can get pretty monotonous into something pretty interesting. I really like certain things that they do in the story. But again, everything that unlocks at a really good pace. Sometimes the restaurant will actually have VIP guests that will ask you to cook them a certain dish, and you'll have like 2 or 3 days to come up with the ingredients to get there to make the dish. And this unlocks even more stuff for your restaurant. Getting your restaurant's cookster rating up even higher will unlock you to have more staff members unlocked and allow you to basically get new items unlocked as well, such as going from green tea to selling beer to selling cocktails. Eventually even having the ability to open up a branch. You also have the ability much later on to actually go into the ocean and dive in at night. This is where the game changes, and most of the fish now are predators, and now you got to hunt them down and they come charging at you. But you get a different type of fish that you can get nowhere else. So it becomes very interesting. Later on, having the underwater farm system, playing a variety of mini games that you can find in there, from seahorse racing to playing like poker stuff, to even other areas like the glacial area that has super old like fishes that you can find. There are even boss fights that are actually pretty fun, and each one is different from one another. And then of course there are optional side quests, optional boss fights you can do. Everything just is done so well. There's even a full-on like Pokemon card system where whatever fish you catch gets added to this card system, even the bosses themselves. So it becomes like a completionist thing. There are mini games like a fish Tamagotchi mini game. There's even a rhythm mini game thrown in there. Not really much added to that, but it just works at such a great pace. You even have like variety of ways to catch fish much later on, such as getting a net which allows you to catch like shrimp and seahorses, and even a sensory like net bomb that can catch you tuna and swordfishes, and new fishes appear as the story goes on. I really just loved how the game kept moving at a brisk pace, but it doesn't suffer from the things that other sim games suffer from, such as sometimes it can feel like the game does drag a bit, especially in the middle sections, but otherwise it does work as well. I will admit though, there's nothing too deep with a lot of the mechanics. The mechanics are pretty simple, and sometimes that's the best thing about it. It is a casual experience. It's nothing deep. It doesn't have multiple trees and lists of RPG stuff that you have to unlock. It's a casual game that focuses on exploration and resource collection. There's no real fast-paced action that you have. There's moments where it gets fast-paced action, especially in the story, but it's mostly a nice calming experience. And even if you do die, like if you run out of oxygen underwater, you're allowed to bring back one item with you. It does feel like, because this game is such a casual experience, that when you die, you're like, damn it, I shouldn't have been able to die. But it can also feel kind of frustrating sometimes, especially with the combat, when you're getting chased by like 3 or 4 predators and you're just trying to survive. It adds to some of that tense moments that I really love. And like I said, it does still suffer from weird points. It can drag. The opening can put some people off because it's a little bit slower, and if you don't like the gameplay loop, it doesn't really ever change until much later on when you unlock the fish farm, but you're always gonna jump into the water. Now you can actually skip those stuff completely and go straight into the restaurant management side, but eventually you will have to jump into the water because you gotta complete the story, or you have to just get out ingredients because you don't have any. But I loved a lot about this gameplay. I'm a guy that likes sim games. I'm a guy that likes to jump in and just swim around and have a fun time with the sim stuff. And hunting the fish was fantastic as well. I will admit that every single time you hunt a fish, you get like a mini game, and sometimes it changes between what elemental effect you have on your harpoon. And it kind of got a little bit boring and annoying that every single time I was trying to catch fish, I would have to play the short mini game. That doesn't happen for every fish, but mostly the big ones that take a while. But I got kind of annoyed by some of the mini games in there. Not all of them, but most of them. Again, this game's gameplay works on itself, and the mechanics that they do add much later on just feels like a natural progression. It never feels like the game forces me into one direction. It always feels like everything that opens up makes sense. The farm opening up much later, the fish farm opening up, the restaurant upgrades it, how it upgrades is much better as well. Now there is an actual update to the game. I believe there's another one coming down much later. But there is an update called the Dregs, and the Dreg, I think that's what it is. And it's actually pretty interesting. It's like a fog event where at night you can actually control the boat and fight completely new like fishes that are abnormal fishes, and that you gotta hunt them down. I think it's really cool, but it's such a rare event. I think it only occurred twice in my entire run. and then it never really happened again. And the second time I didn't even do it because the story mission took place, and the story mission came the precedent of it, which again is pretty sad because I thought it was pretty interesting, but I hardly ever encountered it. Post game, there really isn't much to do. Once you finish the game, you are able to go back, do any restaurant side quests, and continue playing for as long as you want. But there really isn't anything out there. There is like an optional super boss that you can fight after you collect all like the fish cards, but that's really it. There really isn't much post game, which is kind of a shame. Overall, I liked a lot of the gameplay in here. I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. It does drag a little bit in some areas, but overall, if you're looking just for a fun sim game that isn't too deep and just a fun casual experience, then Dave the Diver has some really good gameplay in there. So overall, what do I think of Dave the Diver? It's a charming, relaxing gameplay experience. If you enjoy explorations, collecting, resource management, and even have a fun story that has quirky characters and a cool underwater world, then this game is for you. If you don't like those type of game mechanics, then I still recommend to check this game out. It isn't too long, can probably last around 15 hours, but it's a true single player experience. It is fantastic how it blends a lot of activities into this one actual experience. There were so many times I got shocked, not by the story, but certain gameplay elements they thrown into it, and just how much of a good time I was having. It felt like a fantastic escape into this underworld and beautiful place that I had. Dave the Diver is definitely worth your time. A must play for anyone that just wants to have fun, just wants to play a game that doesn't have super deep mechanics or a game that's pushing you to learn every single mechanic of it. No, there really isn't. It's a fun game with quirky characters, a fantastic underworld section, and a lot of heart and charm to it. It's surprising that this game is made by a very small team. You would think it's kind of an indie game, but also at the same time, it's given so much care, love, attention, and has so many things in it that it felt like it could be made by a AAA studio. It's a must play. I played the game on PS4 and I found it in the PlayStation subscription service. If it's available anywhere else, pick it up. Really do pick it up. And I'll see you guys on the next dive. Yeah. And that's the review. What do you guys think of Dave the Diver? Please tell me down below in the comments. Tell me, how did you enjoy your time? Tell me why you hate the game. Tell me why you love the game. Just any form of comment down below, I will deeply appreciate. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect from Dave the Diver. I really had no idea what to expect from it. I just heard it was a really fun and good game. And playing it, I have to say I had so much fun with it. There was so many things I enjoyed about it. I was surprised at the twists and the turns. I was surprised at how many mechanics they threw in there. And the mechanics never like overstay their welcome. Like when I unlocked the farm, I was like, whoa, there's a farm in this game? Then I think it's much later on you unlock like the different branches of the sushi restaurant. I was like, whoa, what? And then there's like actual like visual novel elements they throw in for the different backstories. Again, it's just so much stuff in there that I couldn't believe that was in the game. And again, it's just a welcome surprise in it. So that's my review. I think it's a must play. I played this game on the PS4. I got it on the PlayStation Plus subscription service. If it's on any other subscription service, let me know. It's basically available everywhere. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next game.